So, an old fisherman has just won one of the biggest fights of his life. He's done it. But is it really over? Not even close. Today, we're diving into the dramatic, pivotal events of Chapter 6, where the real fight, the one for survival and dignity, truly begins.
Picture this. Santiago is finally heading home. He's got his incredible prize, that giant marlin, tied right to the side of his small boat. He's completely wiped out, but he's proven himself. The thing is, the journey home is long, and the open sea, well, it's a dangerous place.
And you know, there's this nagging thought in the back of his mind. He has this sense of unease, this feeling that something's coming. He just knows that a prize this huge, won from the deep, isn't going to come without a cost. The ocean always collects its debts.
Okay, so let's talk about that price, because it doesn't take long for the first threat to show up, drawn in by the one thing he can't hide, the proof of his victory.
And just like that, Santiago's worst fears start coming true. The massive marlin, wounded from their epic battle, is leaving a trail of blood in the water. And for every predator out there, that's not just a scent, it's a dinner bell. It's an open invitation to a feast they can't possibly ignore.
That invitation gets answered, all right? And fast. This leads to the first of many brutal fights. A victory that, well, it feels a lot like a loss.
So who shows up first? A real monster. A mako shark. It's described as fast, powerful, and perfectly designed to hunt a fish exactly the size of his marlin. It's a serious adversary, and Santiago knows it instantly. He just thinks, so, it begins.
And just look at the matchup here. On one side, you've got this apex predator, a perfect killing machine. And on the other side, you've got Santiago. He's old. He's beyond exhausted from the last fight, but he is still ready, with his harpoon in hand.
But even though he's exhausted, this is where Santiago's lifetime of skill just takes over. He waits for that perfect moment, right as the shark lunges for the marlin, and with every last bit of strength he has, he lands a perfect, fatal blow, driving the harpoon straight into the shark's brain.
He wins the battle, but he's already losing the war. The mako is gone, but not before it ripped a massive 40-pound chunk of meat from the marlin. The blood in the water is even stronger now, and this is a huge deal. His main weapon, the harpoon, is gone. It's stuck in the dead shark, sinking to the bottom.
You see, that first shark, that was just the warm-up act. Santiago is now facing an absolute onslaught, an inevitable tide of destruction that he has to fight with whatever he has left. And yet, just like he knew they would, more sharks show up. This time, it's a pair of shovel-nosed sharks, called galanos. Now, these guys aren't like the mako, which was kind of a noble fighter. No, these are described as just insistent, mindless scavengers. They attack again and again, and Santiago understands the awful truth. They're just gonna keep coming.
And this right here, is where you see Santiago's incredible spirit. He's basically weaponless, but does he give up? No way. He makes a new weapon, lashing his knife to the end of an oar. He fights with that makeshift spear, he clubs them with the boat's tiller, and when that breaks, he uses the splintered wood. He fights with literally anything he can get his hands on, until there's nothing left. Look, the physical fight against the sharks, he's losing it. Badly. But this is where we get to the real heart of the story. This idea of finding a kind of triumph, even when you're facing total material defeat.
By the time night falls, the fight is over. The sharks have won. They've stripped that magnificent marlin down to nothing. All that's left is a massive skeleton, the head, the long sword, and the backbone, still tied to the side of his boat.
But Santiago's reaction to this, it's incredible. He looks at what's left of his great catch. Think about it. He wasn't beaten by the marlin. He was beaten by the scavengers who came after. They could destroy his prize for sure, but they couldn't touch his spirit, or the pride he felt in how he fought.
And that's the whole point, right? The sharks took the fish, but they couldn't take his dignity, his honor, his self-respect. That came from the struggle itself, not from whatever prize he managed to drag back to the shore. He fought with everything he had, and that is what matters.
So when he finally sails into the harbor, that skeleton is all that's left. And it becomes this powerful symbol. It's a banner for the tragedy of what he lost, absolutely. But it's also a banner for his incredible, undeniable triumph of spirit against impossible odds. And that leaves us with the big question, the one at the very heart of this story. Looking at Santiago, at his journey, you have to ask yourself,
Is it actually possible for someone to be completely destroyed, to lose everything they fought for, and yet, somehow, remain undefeated?